All right, this is a follow-up from last week's special meeting. This is a culmination of putting together the information I heard through our resolution 2561 for task force implementation. And so I've created a framework and a work plan based off what we talked about last Thursday. So on June 5th, we talked and adopted Resolution 2561. We were making a policy for unlawful behavior in public spaces. So Council directed myself to return with the task force framework to develop ordinance updates, community engagement, enforcement strategy. And this presentation is going to outline how we do that. So we're going to coordinate across departmental and community-informed actions. We're going to review and update our relevant ordinances. We're going to define and implement the enforcement protocols that we had a conversation with the 3 E's versus the zero tolerance. We're going to engage partners and our stakeholders, and we're going to build a shared use budget for what that $150,000 of enforcement allocation looks like. And then we're going to deliver our final recommendation by July 8th. So our council participation, and we'll get to this at the end of the conversation, but we're looking for 3 members that are going to serve on this task force. Obviously, if more than 3 of you are interested, we're going to need to make some form of selection tonight. And so we're going to meet weekly through July 1st. And so your availability and flexibility will be essential for the participation in the task force. So it's composed of city staff leads, so we're looking at the city manager, our legal department, police department, code enforcement, public works, our parks and recreation, communications, and then we'll talk finance and budget. We're working on connecting with our community partners, so Cowlitz County Health and Human Services, their law enforcement, our neighboring cities, so working with Kelso and Cowlitz County as a whole, our faith-based organizations, so who's doing what services, looking at our local service providers, our business and neighborhood associations, Peace Health, St. John's, we've already begun those conversations. I actually had a great conversation today with the Cowlitz Tribe manager, and so they'll be included in this conversation, and then our school districts as well. So our key goals that we're going to try to do by July 1st is review and update our ordinances on camping, drug use, trespassing, and unlawful behavior. We're going to work on our coordinated enforcement plan. We're going to work with our stakeholders and build our budget, and then we're going to deliver a final recommendation to council. So with that, we're going to do one-on-one interviews. So some of this is going to be on the public side. Some of this is going to be just having conversations. And then after that, our goal is to have 2 public forums so we can get community engagement in a public setting. So we're going to do businesses and neighborhoods, support and service providers. So those questions are going to look like, what role can you or your organization play? So this doesn't have to just be our lift. We're looking for others to say how they can be involved in that conversation. And then what barriers and solutions do you see? We see what we see, but that doesn't mean we're not seeing what some of our service providers and neighbors sees. And then how does that look, if we are successful, what does that look like for our community? And what is that path forward and where we're trying to go? So we're going to have the legal and code review. So our legal team with police, we're going to look at our ordinances like we said. Grants Pass versus Johnson actually had an overturn in 2024 at the Supreme Court. And so some of the Washington state laws can look a little bit different. Burien just put in a camping ordinance that looks a little different than ours. And so we're working to see how they're enforcing it. It was just upheld in the 9th Circuit Court. So it was tested and it was upheld. So kind of what are they doing and how can we implement that here? And so also we're going to talk about the meaning of zero tolerance and 3 E's, where those, I know we established that in that resolution, but if we're going to be codifying it, where are we going to put that in that, in the wording of that? So what's a warning, what's a citation, what's an arrest? And then where does our behavioral health unit, our BHU, come into play, and how can we best kind of concurrently work together to make sure that we're doing things and getting people actually into services and then into stable situations so we're not seeing our repeat offenders, and then clarifying our interdepartmental roles. So with that $150,000, we're looking at law enforcement overtime, jail-related costs, our legal support, and then supplies, so signages, fences, PPE, what that kind of looks like, and then the task force will help us co-develop that, so it's not just me with a magic wand throwing around $150,000. I want to be mindful of our taxpayer dollars and ensuring that we are kind of working towards what you guys are looking for as your vision for this. And that so it prevents overages, transparency, and enables future reallocation, so we can say, we did this for this much, if you'd like to continue to see that, this is what we're going to need. So deliverables and reporting by July 8th is the revisions, the strategy, our stakeholders, our budget plan, the communication tools, because the goal with this is also to be super transparent. So reporting out to you, reporting out to our community, and reporting out to our partners. So that's going to begin monthly on in August after we get that first month under our belts.